Hey guys, it's Daniel Thompson here. Today I'm going to show you an arm workout. The sort of workout I use or focus on will really depend on what I'm trying to achieve. Sometimes you train with higher volume, lighter weights, a kind of a higher frequency, and other times I train very heavy with longer rest periods, lower frequency, lower volume. And today that's the sort of workout I'm going to be focusing on. All of this really depends on your sort of goals as an individual. So some people want a more of a bodybuilding look, want to gain mass, get as big as possible. Personally, that's not for me. I'm really aiming to have more of an athletic and aesthetic physique. So I kind of mix it up. Sometimes I train heavy and try and promote mass, and that will be when I'm bulking. And sometimes I cut down, get lean, and obviously go for that more aesthetic look. So I'm constantly going through this bulking and cutting cycle, which can be hard because you're constantly flipping up your diet and changing the way you work out. But personally, I feel that works best for me, and that gives me the kind of shape and physique I want. So the way I'm going to split this video up is I'm going to show you my bicep routine, which I normally do first, and that will take me about 30 minutes or so, and then I'll follow it with 30 minutes on triceps. One thing worth mentioning is that I don't always train arms together. So on some weeks I do train biceps and triceps in the same day. Other times I train back and biceps and chest and triceps, and just constantly try to mix things up, shock the body to make sure I'm always making progress. Okay, so we'll kick things off with biceps to begin with. The first exercise I want to show you is the heavy barbell curl, and I tend to do that using a flat bar as opposed to an EZ bar. So it really depends on personal preference. If you feel like there's a lot of strain on your wrist when you're performing the movement and it's uncomfortable using a flat bar, by all means use an EZ bar. What you really want to do is focus on squeezing the biceps as the weight is brought up. Make sure you don't swing as you pull the weight up towards you. Admittedly, as you get into the last few reps, they may not be as clean and your form may start to lag a little bit, but I don't tend to particularly worry about this. I just try and keep the best form possible until the end of my set. But a common mistake with this exercise is people resting at the top of the movement. So just make sure you take the bar up and you don't take it too far forwards towards the upper chest before obviously moving the bar back down, and it prevents obviously taking the tension away from the biceps. Okay, the second exercise I want to show you is dumbbell hammer curls, and this is fairly straightforward. You have a dumbbell in either hand and you lift the weights up, moving the weight towards your shoulder. For this exercise, you just once again squeeze the bicep at the top of the movement and make sure you focus on slow, controlled reps, bringing the weight down gradually. Okay, so the third exercise I want to show you is single arm cable curls, and what you do here is once again lift the hand up towards the top of the movement, squeezing the bicep as you come up, and just making sure it's a nice controlled movement, keeping the torso nice and tight before lowering the weight back into the starting position. Okay, so the fourth and final exercise I want to show you is reverse grip EZ bar curls. The best way to perform this movement is by standing upright and then having your hands shoulder width apart, and you curl the bar up towards your body. This is with a pronated grip, so a reverse grip, hence the name reverse grip EZ bar curls. And it's really important that you curl the weight whilst contracting the biceps as you exhale out, and only the forearm should really move in the movement. Okay, let's move on to triceps now. Before I kick things off and show you the tricep exercises I use, a really good point to note is there's three heads to the tricep, the lateral, the medial and the long head, and it is really important that we train all three to make sure we have a well-rounded tricep, and obviously it's nice and balanced, so making sure we do exercises that do hit all three. Okay, so the first tricep exercise I want to show you is the standing cable pull down. And the best way I find to perform this exercise is by slightly leaning forward, pushing the hips back, the chest out as you pull down, and placing a real emphasis on squeezing the triceps at the bottom of the movement. This then means that as I press down, I can get the full range of movement and squeeze. Just make sure that you keep your torso fixed during the movement, as it's easy to let your shoulders and chest take over as you start to fatigue. There are many variations of this exercise, so some prefer doing pull downs using the rope attachment or bar. I personally prefer the V-bar as I feel I get a better squeeze at the base of the movement. Okay, so the second tricep exercise I want to show you is the cable kickback. This is a personal favourite of mine, and the best way to perform this movement is attach the D handle, or if you haven't got one of those, you can always use a rubber ball at the end of the attachment. You need to really lean over with this movement and make sure you keep your elbows high and fixed to your side. If you've not done this movement before, it'd be worthwhile just practicing on a lower weight and really kind of building up your technique with this, as it is a bit of an awkward movement. So your upper arm and your torso should be roughly parallel to each other, and your lower arm perpendicular to your torso. And then you pull up and extend your arms, squeezing at the top of the movement before returning to the start position. So one thing to note before moving on is that with this exercise you can perform it using dumbbells. Personally, I prefer using the cables because it places continuous tension on the tricep and there's kind of no resting period as you get to the bottom of the movement. The third exercise I want to show you is skull crushers. I personally prefer to do this movement using the EZ bar. You can do it with dumbbells with a neutral grip to take some of the strain away from your wrists if you have those sort of issues. However, personally, I've always been a big fan of the EZ bar, and I find I can get I suppose, a better squeeze coming back and bringing the bar behind the head. The best way to start this exercise is by getting yourself well positioned on the bench, laying back with your head right at the far end of the bench. If you don't do this, you'll have difficulty getting the bar behind your head, so you need to make sure you're kind of pushed back there. You need to ensure that you fully lengthen the tricep during the movement as you bend the arms, and then come back up, straightening them as you come back up. Make sure you keep the elbow fixed and tucked in at all times, and try not to allow yourself to rock your arms back and forth. The final exercise for triceps that I want to show you, and by no means the least, is weighted dips. And I believe these are fantastic for really kind of fatiguing the triceps at the end of the workout and making sure you're hitting them nice and hard. Okay, that's everything from me. I hope you found it useful. Make sure you subscribe, check out my other videos, and thanks for watching.